Richard Goodall spent years cleaning school hallways while carrying a voice that could move millions. Almost nobody outside his small community knew his name. Then, in just a few minutes on the stage of America's Got Talent, everything changed. People called him an overnight success. But was he really? Or had the world simply been late to discover what had been hiding in plain sight all along? The answer is far more emotional than most people ever imagined. Before we begin, here's something to think about. Have you ever felt like you had a dream that the world never noticed? Let me know in the comments, because Richard's story might remind you that it's never too late for one chance to change everything. For many viewers, Richard Goodall looked like someone they might pass every day without a second glance. He didn't arrive wearing expensive clothes. He didn't have the image of a famous singer. He walked onto the stage with a quiet smile and the humble confidence of someone who had spent years expecting nothing from the spotlight. But appearances can hide incredible stories. Long before millions watched him on television, Richard was known by students and teachers as the friendly school custodian who loved to sing while working. His voice echoed through school hallways, not sold-out concert arenas. Many students admired him, and videos of him singing at school events slowly began spreading online. Those moments showed something special. He wasn't trying to become famous. He simply loved music. That simple love would soon change his life forever. When Richard stepped onto the America's Got Talent stage, the judges knew very little about him. The audience didn't know either. Yet within moments of hearing him sing, the room fell silent. His performance touched people because it felt honest. It wasn't just about hitting the right notes. It was about years of hope, patience, and quiet hard work finally finding the audience it deserved. Reports from America's Got Talent, along with interviews Richard later gave to major media outlets including People and local television stations, showed that his journey had been built over decades, not overnight. The golden buzzer moment that millions celebrated was the result of years of believing in himself when almost nobody was watching. But that unforgettable audition was only the beginning. Behind the cheers, the standing ovation, and the headlines was a life filled with challenges, sacrifices, and difficult choices that few people knew about. And as Richard's fame grew, many fans began saying the same thing. They believed they had finally seen proof that true talent doesn't disappear. It simply waits for the right moment. What happened before that life-changing night makes his story even more remarkable. Richard Goodall's story did not begin under bright stage lights. It began in a much quieter place, where dreams often stay hidden for years. Every morning, he showed up to work like thousands of other people across America. He cleaned classrooms, swept hallways, and helped keep a school running. Most people would have looked at him and thought they knew his whole story. They didn't. Music had always been part of Richard's life. He loved singing from a young age, especially classic rock songs that demanded both power and emotion. Friends and coworkers knew he had an amazing voice, but Richard wasn't chasing fame every day. Life came first. Bills had to be paid. Work had to be done. Like so many people, he carried a dream while handling everyday responsibilities. But there was one small habit that slowly changed everything. Whenever school events gave him a chance, Richard would sing. Students gathered around. Teachers smiled. Parents pulled out their phones. Before long, videos of those performances started spreading across social media. One clip of him singing Journey's "Don't Stop Believin'" during a school gathering reached millions of viewers online. Suddenly, people everywhere were asking the same question. Who is this guy? That question opened a door nobody expected. According to interviews Richard later gave after his rise to fame, the attention from those viral videos gave him confidence he had never fully felt before. People he had never met were encouraging him to try something bigger. It was exciting, but it was also frightening. After all, chasing a dream at 55 is very different from chasing one at 25. Many people would have ignored the opportunity. Richard didn't. Instead, he made a decision that would change his life forever. He auditioned for America's Got Talent. Even then, there were no guarantees. Thousands of talented people audition every season, and only a handful make it to the televised stage. The odds were against him. As he waited backstage, years of memories must have filled his mind. Every early morning at work, every school hallway he had cleaned. Every moment he wondered if anyone outside his hometown would ever hear his voice. Then came the moment. He walked onto the stage carrying nothing but his story and his talent. The judges greeted him warmly and asked about his life. Richard spoke honestly about working as a school custodian. There was no attempt to create drama. His humility made people listen even before he started singing. Then the music began. The first few notes immediately changed the mood in the room. His performance of Journey's "Don't Stop Believin'" wasn't just technically impressive. It carried years of emotion. Viewers could hear hope in every line. By the time he reached the chorus, many people in the audience were already standing. The judges watched with expressions that showed genuine surprise. When the song ended, the applause seemed endless. Then came the moment nobody saw coming. Judge Heidi Klum pressed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti poured from the ceiling as Richard stood in disbelief. He smiled, laughed, and fought back tears. It was one of those rare television moments that felt completely real. According to the show's broadcast and Richard's later interviews, the experience was overwhelming because it represented far more than a successful audition. It was proof that decades of quiet dedication had finally been seen. But while millions celebrated his incredible breakthrough, very few realized the pressure that came next. The golden buzzer didn't guarantee victory. In many ways, it made the journey even harder. But what happened next almost changed everything. Before we reveal the toughest test Richard faced after becoming an overnight sensation, make sure you subscribe. The next part uncovers details from his journey that many casual viewers never heard, and they reveal why staying at the top can be even harder than getting there. The golden buzzer changed Richard Goodall's life in a single moment. But it also brought something he had never faced before: expectation. Millions of people now believed in him. Every new performance would be compared to the one that had made the world fall in love with him. For someone who had spent years singing in school hallways, that was a huge change. Richard suddenly found himself giving interviews, meeting fans, and preparing for the biggest performances of his life. The quiet custodian who once worked behind the scenes was now standing in front of packed audiences and television cameras. It was exciting, but it was also overwhelming. Still, he stayed true to himself. People who met Richard after his audition often said the same thing. He was just as humble off the stage as he was on it. In interviews with people and local news outlets, he spoke more about gratitude than fame. He thanked his family, his co-workers, his students, and everyone who had believed in him before the rest of the world knew his name. That honesty made fans admire him even more. But there was another challenge waiting. As the competition continued, every contestant wanted the same prize. Some had years of professional experience. Others had traveled the world performing. Richard was competing against people who had spent their lives chasing the spotlight. He had spent much of his life cleaning classrooms. Yet somehow that became one of his greatest strengths. His story reminded people that talent does not always follow the path we expect. Sometimes the greatest voices are heard in ordinary places. Sometimes the person everyone overlooks has been extraordinary all along. That message reached far beyond the competition. When Richard continued performing on America's Got Talent, viewers weren't only judging his singing. They were cheering for the idea that dreams do not have an expiration date. Social media filled with messages from people saying his journey gave them hope to return to school, start a business, write a book, or finally chase a goal they had delayed for years. His story had become bigger than entertainment. It had become a symbol. Many people watching right now may be carrying a dream they quietly pushed aside because life got busy. Maybe you told yourself you were too old. Maybe you believed your chance had already passed. Richard's journey reminds us that one chapter never decides the whole story. Sometimes the page that changes everything comes much later than anyone expects. And then came another unforgettable milestone. Richard's remarkable run on America's Got Talent ended with something few people could have imagined when he first walked on stage. He won the competition. According to the official results, viewers across America voted him the season 19 champion. The school custodian who once sang while working had earned the grand prize and the title of America's newest talent. It was a victory built not only on vocal ability but also on authenticity, kindness, and perseverance. After the show, Richard's life changed in ways he had only dreamed about. He began performing for larger audiences, appearing in interviews, and connecting with fans across the country. Yet despite the new opportunities, those close to him often described him as the same down-to-earth person they had always known. That may be the biggest surprise of all. Fame changed Richard's life. It did not change Richard. But there is one final part of this story that explains why so many people say they suspected it all along. And it has nothing to do with singing. It has everything to do with the lesson his journey leaves behind.